All right, good evening. This is Chair Justin Cooley, and I would like to call this regular meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would City Clerk Teresa Purrington please call roll?
Commissioner Flores? Here. Commissioner Munoz Morris?
Here.
Commissioner Tolley? Here. Vice Chair Houghton?
Here.
Chair Cooley?
Here. Okay, at this time, we will hear any public comment for items not on tonight's agenda. Items raised are generally referred to staff, and if action by the commission is necessary, may be scheduled for a future meeting. City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
All right. So we'll close public comment and move to the consent agenda. The only item on the consent agenda is consideration of the minutes from the June 26, 2024 Planning Commission meetings. Before we call for a vote, does anyone have any comments on consent?
I will move to approve the minutes of the June 26th meeting.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. All right, we're moving on to item 4, public hearing. Any court challenge to the action taken on public hearing items on this agenda may be limited to considering only those issues raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the City of San Luis Obispo at or prior to the public hearing. If you wish to speak, please give your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So the public hearing item for us is to review text amendments to Table 2-1 of the zoning regulations to allow cannabis retail storefronts to conduct retail sales by delivery. And I know we have a staff presentation, and I believe you wanted to make some comments.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chair Cooley and Commissioners. I'm Brian Lavelle, Principal Planner in Community Development. Just before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to make a brief introduction of a new staff member, and giving the presentation tonight is Ivana Gomez. She is the city's Cannabis Business Coordinator. Started with the city, it's been about 8 or 9 months or so. Ivana brought some really good industry experience into the position, so she was able to jump right in, and we're already seeing in our department the benefits of that. In fact, right when she joined the city, we were in the process of a competitive application procedure for the city's third and final retail storefront cannabis business, and Ivana quickly took the reins and got everything, took care of the program and really helped guide us through that selection process. In fact, that item will be coming to the commission soon with a conditional use permit review. So yeah, with that, Ivana, go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Brian. Just give me a second here to get situated. Okay, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Ivana Gomez. As Brian mentioned, I'm the Cannabis Business Coordinator for the city, which is a role within the Community Development Department, previously held by Alex Fuchs. I'm here today to present a review of proposed text amendments to the zoning regulations that would allow cannabis retail storefront operations to offer delivery services. As Brian did mention, I do have a background in regulatory compliance within the cannabis industry, and so I look forward to answering any clarifying questions you might have regarding the recommendation before you today. The recommendation today is to recommend to the City Council to introduce and adopt an ordinance amending Table 2-1 of the Municipal Code to allow cannabis retail storefronts to conduct retail sales by delivery with approval of a conditional use permit or by amendment to an existing conditional use permit. Today's proposed amendments are consistent with previous city council direction to allow retail storefronts in the city to deliver, as well as consistent with the major city goals and with the purpose of the zones which permit retail storefront activity. The Planning Commission's role is to review the proposed amendments to the city's zoning regulations for consistency with the major city goals and the purpose of the allowable zones and provide a recommendation to the City Council. So the conversation to allow retail storefront delivery in the city actually began in 2023. So on February 8th, 2023, the Planning Commission recommended the City Council allow retail storefronts to also engage in delivery services, which is consistent with state regulations that allow a Type 10 license holder or a retail storefront license holder to engage in retail sales on site and by delivery. Following that, on March 7th, 2023, at the annual cannabis program update at Council, City Council provided direction to staff to update the cannabis program such that retail storefronts may offer delivery services. The proposed amendments before the Planning Commission today implement Council's previous direction. So for context and a bit of background, there are two types of commercial cannabis retail activity, retail storefront and retail non-storefront, AKA delivery only. Retail storefronts are considered a Type 10 license under state regulations, and they have a physical location where cannabis goods are sold. Under state law, storefront retailers may also deliver cannabis goods. In the city of San Luis Obispo, retail storefront permits are limited to 3 total in the city and are allowed in the commercial retail and service commercial zones. On-site retail sales are limited between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. and delivery between 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Contrarily, delivery only is a separate permit type. These are considered a Type 9 license under state regulations, and these permits may only sell cannabis goods through delivery. In San Luis Obispo, these permit types are not limited, and they're allowed in the service commercial, manufacturing, and business park zones. And again, delivery is permitted between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., which is consistent with state regulation. There are currently 2 total cannabis operators in the city, both of which are retail storefronts. These are Megan's Organic Market, indicated by number 1 on this map, and Slow Cow Roots, indicated by number 3. The last or third retail storefront is pending issuance of a conditional use permit to commence operations in the South Broad Street area, which is the item you will be seeing coming mid-September. Table 2-1 is located within the use regulations section of the zoning regs, section 171020. Currently, the table specifies that delivery businesses are permitted in the CS, M, and BP zones with approval of a minor use permit, and retailer storefronts are permitted in the CR and CS zones with approval of a conditional use permit. The proposed amendments clarify that retailers engaging in delivery only are permitted in the CS, M, and BP zones with approval of a minor use permit. They also clarify that retail storefronts with or without delivery services are permitted in the CR and CS zones with approval of a conditional use permit or by amendment to an existing conditional use permit. So this establishes a pathway for existing retail storefronts in the city to apply for and get approval to engage in delivery services at their existing locations. In addition to being consistent with previous City Council direction to staff in 2023, the recommendation today is also consistent with the broader major city goals. Economic resiliency, cultural vitality, and fiscal sustainability were prioritized as a major city goal in the 2023-2025 financial plan to support a thriving and sustainable local economy and to ensure fiscally responsible city operations. The proposed amendments align with these goals by providing more flexible sales avenues for operators, therefore supporting the local economy and contributing to the city's financial sustainability. In addition, the proposed amendments are also consistent with the purpose of the zones which permit retail storefront activity, including the retail commercial or CR zone and service commercial or CS zone. The purpose of the commercial retail zone is to serve the entire community in the region, as well as tourists and travelers. So by allowing retail storefronts to offer delivery services, the proposed amendments increase flexibility and convenience for residents, regional customers, and visitors, enabling businesses to meet evolving market demands and promoting resilience and stability for businesses within the zone. The purpose of the service commercial zone is to provide services to meet local needs and demands of the region, including services and limited retail. By allowing retail storefronts to offer delivery services, the proposed amendments enhance the ability of businesses within the CS zone to adapt to market needs and to expand their service offerings, supporting the zone's objective of catering to both the local community and the broader region. The recommended actions were reviewed in accordance with CEQA guidelines and are determined to be exempt under the general rule exemption, as the proposed amendments constitute minor modifications to the rules governing commercial cannabis retail operations and do not have a significant impact on the environment. In addition to that, project-specific environmental review would be required for any new commercial cannabis activity. So any new or existing retailer applying for a conditional use permit or an amendment to an existing conditional use permit would be required to comply with all applicable state and local law, as well as a CEQA review. Okay, so the recommendation today to recommend the City Council introduce and adopt an ordinance to amend Table 2-1 of the Municipal Code to allow cannabis retail storefronts to conduct retail sales by delivery with the approval of a conditional use permit or by amendment to an existing conditional use permit, has been reviewed by a designated cannabis steering committee comprised of representatives from numerous city staff departments, including police department, finance, community development, and admin. The steering committee does support the amendments to the cannabis program as consistent with previous city council direction to staff. So that concludes the presentation today, and I open the floor to discussion. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Do any commissioners have any questions of staff?
Okay, so this started about a year ago. Just kind of curious, maybe this was before your time, but I'm wondering why it took a year to get to this point?
So as you may know, there was a transition between the previous cannabis coordinator and myself joining back in December. So that was kind of the delay there. In addition, between that time, there were some amendments made to the cannabis program to implement this action or direction from council, including amendments to the administrative regulations. So during that time, existing staff did work on amending the cannabis program to implement the council direction, and that was reflected in the application procedures for cannabis operators, as well as the administrative regulations, which are a set of regulations that are propagated by the city managers and approved via city manager report.
Okay, so this is kind of getting the municipal code caught up with all those other developments and enacting what we said we would do.
That's exactly correct. And we are now just seeing an interest from existing operators in engaging in delivery. And so it was the appropriate time to go ahead and work on those amendments.
Okay, and are there any special considerations for delivery of cannabis over storefront? I'm thinking of security, checking IDs. I mean, is that any of our concern here?
There are additional regulations to consider when it comes to delivery services. There is a cap at which vehicles can hold the value of cannabis goods. So for example, $10,000 worth of cannabis goods. There are specific requirements that pertain to track and trace requirements, but that is under the jurisdiction of the state agency, which is the Department of Cannabis Control. So not necessarily. However, this would all be reviewed during the review of a conditional use permit.
Okay, and this is still pretty much a cash business, right?
For the most part.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for the most part, there's cash on delivery is the most widely used, just to make sure that payment is completed. However, there is still credit, net 30, net 60 that is used.
Okay.
correct?
And then finally, we're amending Table 2.2-1 in this proposal. Can you show which cells are actually changing in 2.1 in that table?
Yes, let me go back to the specific slide containing the amendment. So we have the cell containing retailer delivery. We're adding the word only just to clarify that this cell would pertain to businesses that are only engaging in delivery. So nothing's really changing as far as the process to engage in delivery there.
So is
Staff-
that a new row in the table?
No, this is an existing row.
Okay.
And the only thing that's changed is the addition of the word only. And this is just for clarification
Okay.
purposes and to distinguish it from the cell below it, which is the retail storefront. Previously, that read retailer storefront. Now we're adding with or without delivery to clearly indicate that those operations are allowed within the commercial, retail, and service commercial zones with a conditional.
Oh,
use
okay, I
permit.
see. So everything that's underlined is the new text, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I had, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners have questions? I had a couple questions, just for context. I know we have 2 storefronts and soon to have a third, it seems like. How many delivery-only businesses do we have in the city right now?
There are currently no delivery-only businesses. There was one that was only in operation for about a year, and it closed down in January of this year.
And semi-related, but mostly just out of curiosity, does the city require businesses that are delivering into the city from outside of the city to get licensed?
We do not, the city does not require businesses outside of the jurisdiction to get an operator permit or any type of use permit. However, the finance department does require that businesses that are going to be delivering within this jurisdiction do get a business license for tax collection purposes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, with that, move on to public comment. City Clerk, do we have any public comments on this item?
Yes, we have one. Megan Sousa. Wait, 1 minute. Okay. Nope, I did, I thought I did it for her.
It's red. Oh, there we go. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Megan Souza, and I'm the CEO of Megan's Organic Market. We're one of the 2 storefront dispensaries here in town. And first, I want to say I appreciate your service to the city and your time and consideration of the issue of cannabis delivery zoning tonight. We were really happy when last year the City Council voted to allow us to conduct delivery services in line with state regulations. However, upon attempting to begin deliveries, we learned that there was this zoning code discrepancy that had to be resolved before we could begin. So I'm just here tonight to say that we believe that delivery services from our existing storefront business would be compatible with our CR zoning designation. Cannabis delivery is really not very much different from food delivery from a restaurant. And so we respectfully ask for your support on this issue, and we look forward to increasing our service to our beloved community.
Thank you. Is there any other additional public comment?
No, there are not.
I do not see anyone rushing to the front to file a form, so. We do not, no. Okay, so we will close public comment and give the commissioners one last chance for any more questions of staff. And if I don't have any questions, I would entertain a motion, and I believe our recommendation takes the form of a resolution. If anyone has any questions about staff's recommendation or is prepared to make a motion.
I would be happy to make a motion to recommend the amendment to table 2-1 as outlined by city staff. Do I have to read the whole thing? Sorry, I don't. But I make a motion to approve it or recommend it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and I believe this is actually, if there's any further discussion, if not, we'll ask for a roll call vote.
Not by me?
Commissioner Munoz Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Tully? Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Vice Chair Houghton?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes. Staff's recommendation is adopted. And at this point, we're moving on to the staff updates and agenda forecast. Brian, would you like to give us an update?
Yes, for sure. Your next scheduled meeting is on August 28th. There's currently no agenda items, so that item or that meeting will be canceled. The next meeting is the 11th of September. There are a couple of items scheduled there. One is an appeal of a homestay denial. The other one is the use permit I already mentioned for the third and final cannabis retail storefront business in the city. That's at 2400 Broad Street. And then on the 25th of September, a little bit of a more unusual item. This is the Slack and Grand Cal Poly abandonment and detachment item. This is for a housing project north of Slack Street, east of Grand, called Vista Meadows. It's a 33-unit project. It involves an adjustment of the right-of-way and the city limit line. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, could you just give me one more time the anticipated next actual meeting date?
That would be the 11th of September.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to move to adjournment. The next regular meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled for August 28th, but we're hearing that's very likely to be canceled. And in fact, the next meeting is likely to be September 11th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall, 990 Palm Street, San Luis Obispo. We are adjourned.